Just saying about the media days. How'd you feel about the media days for USC this year?
Matt? I think I kind of went into it a little bit myself.
Jackson. I mean, we've talked about some of this, and I think that Lincoln Riley had a chip on his shoulder. Lincoln Riley was PO'd. Lincoln Riley had an edge to him, and that's good. Like, he's fired up. He knows that the national media ain't buying what he's selling, and that's okay because now he can prove it on the field. And when commentators say that they don't take USC's defense seriously, like, that is just something for the whole locker room on the defensive side of the ball. Just use that as fuel for the fire against LSU. So, the national media being skeptical, again, they should be, right? I just don't like the specific critique of, well, Lincoln Riley still doesn't take defense seriously when, he's changed his whole MO. He's changed his whole staff. What's he supposed to do to prove that he takes defense seriously? And it's really that doubting Thomas thing. People want to see it on the field, and until it happens, people are going to be skeptical. So, that's fair. But to say he still doesn't take defense seriously, that's what I really don't like. And so Lincoln Riley's pushing back against that. And the other thing, we haven't talked about this directly, but let's just briefly mention it, is that Lincoln Riley's not bolting for the NFL. I think that was a major central news story of Big Ten media days. If Lincoln Riley sounded like a coach going to the NFL, this was not it. This is not how a coach would talk if he's thinking about the NFL. This is a guy who wants to fix this thing. He wants to figure it out. He wants to solve this challenge that's in front of him right now. Lincoln Riley's not going to the NFL anytime soon, period.
Yeah, and I think that he did a really good job. Well, first off, you could tell just how well they're prepared because I was talking to Matt, or I don't know, maybe it was Gabe. They were like synchronized swimmers. They'd get the question, they'd all kind of give the similar answer. But yet, here's what I will say: it wasn't, they were ready. They relied on their press training, and especially the players just did a great job. Yeah, I don't know, as a fan, and also as just a person watching these guys, it was good to see them. They didn't shy away from questions. They answered they just absolutely answered everything like a pro, and really, as an alumnus, made me proud how well they spoke, how they went straight to the question. They stayed on message. I mean, it was USC of all the different programs I watched on Media Day, just seemed like they had their ducks in a row. So if you ask me how I felt about USC's Media Day, I felt proud. I watched the way they handled questions that were almost cheap shots. Like Lincoln Riley took that question. My God, when are we going to stop hearing about the brisket? I mean, talk about the stupidest question. You get one chance to talk to a guy like Lincoln Riley. You want to talk about brisket? I get it. It was probably some kind of prank or something, but the guy said he's from SI. I was like, anyway. But, the message that Lincoln Riley did say is hey, look, we're happy to be here, but we're not coming in on our knees. We're not the discount Ducks. Yes, I know they got a great team going right now, and they got great NIL, but they came in at half price. We're not the half off Huskies. They came in at half price. Let's be honest. UCLA, you came with USC in the LA market. USC came in here as a full member, shoulders up, head back, saying, hey, we're proud to be here. Thanks for having us, but we're not taking a second seat to anybody. Next question. I love that. I don't think that's arrogant. I think given USC's stature, given the fact that the Big Ten wanted USC, of all these teams, they wanted USC. That we are the crown jewel. Sorry, folks. Call me a homer, but that's a fact. And the way USC went in there and acted like that, I appreciate it very much.
Well, in the Deshaun Foster opening segment of that press conference, it kind of felt like I was watching a college football equivalent of Joe Pesci at the Oscars. It was just real quick. It
was a big moment, and I don't blame him for that. I was listening to our podcast and they said it perfectly. So, gosh damn, I'm sorry. I think it might be cover 3. I'm not sure. But you blame the handlers, the people that were there that were getting prepared for it. He got thrust into this position. The stage was bigger than not bigger than him as a person, just bigger than his experience, and he was thrown out there. And hey, man, if you don't get out there and you don't have some anxiety and you don't have the training for it, what do you expect's going to happen? You know, what do you expect a guy to do? So, hey, he rallied from it. He kind of laughed it off. And I think the best point that they made, I hope it was cover 3, because if I'm not giving someone else the attribution, I feel bad. But they said it's going to make that microscope a little bit harder on him. Because you know, they're gonna say, look, he's not prepared. We do that in society, right? You know, so he wasn't ready to speak at media day. So therefore, if he stumbles a little bit in the football season, it just proves the point. I mean, it's like got to layer and build on it. So now it almost makes it more important that he can get this turnaround. It was a very unfortunate way to start his career, but I mean, anyone holding it against him are you a human being in there? You know what I mean? So
I would just say, Jackson, that you know, who's managing the store in the UCLA sports information football media relations department? Like, why are you allowing him to give a public statement? Just have him take questions. You know, he did not have to give a statement. And it was interesting. A number of the coaches at Big Ten Media Days, they were praised for using, you know, they all get 15 minutes. So some coaches basically used up nearly all their 15 minutes on a speech. They called it a filibuster. So like they didn't have to deal with the media. Like the veteran coaches, they basically spoke for 13, 14, 15 minutes, so they didn't have to take questions. But with Deshaun Foster's, it's different. And like, you know, why wasn't there a conversation? Like, hey, Deshaun, do you want to just take questions, or do you want to give an opening statement, and what makes you comfortable? Doesn't seem like that conversation was had. So it's still amateur hour at UCLA, and you know, that was unfortunate. And by the way, while we're talking about UCLA, quick thing: anyone here, Curt Cignetti, the coach of Indiana, mentioned that when we travel to UCLA, when we travel to Pasadena, we're going to an old stadium to kick somebody's butt. So like, he didn't mean to throw shade at UCLA. He was more of talking just about the mentality of the team that he wanted to have, but it just happened to be UCLA on the receiving end of the Indiana head football coach's barb. So not a good week for UCLA in Indianapolis.